Hi, and welcome to the international launch of the National Science Foundation's Cultural Anthropology Methods program. In this webinar, you'll hear from a number of scholars affiliated with the program, but we'll begin with some remarks from Jeff Mance, our National Science Foundation Program Director.
Hi, I'm Jeff. I'm one of multiple program officers who have been involved in this initiative. Tarni Betty and Jeremy Coster are currently here. Siobhan Madison and Deb Winslow, now retired, were instrumental in seeing this through as well. Russ is going to talk more about CAMP's background and just in a little bit, but many of you will know that before CAMP, NSF funded the Summer Institute in Research Design, SIRD, for about 20 years. And that program ended in 2016, 2017, depending on when you count the last summer iteration and the end of the grant. There was Amber and I had chatted at length in a AAA meeting about maybe 6 years ago to discuss what a rebooted methodological training would look like in the post-SIRD era. This was before COVID, but there were a number of innovations even at that time that we thought were pretty critical. And she came up with this awesome innovation with singularly the best acronym for any methods program ever. It evokes some strong memories about the culture about methodological training in our discipline. In the SIRD era, students were housed in these dormitory style barracks housing at the Duke Marine Lab in Beaufort, North Carolina. It was literally methods camp. 315 graduate students went through that through the period of 1996 to 2017, and the accompanying short courses for faculty, which trained faculty in text analysis, network analysis, behavioral observation, video analysis, geospatial, cultural domain, ethno-ecological statistics, survey research. I probably missed something. We got about 420 of those in total over these 5-day courses that met usually at the same time as the SIRD courses. They also did workshops at the AAA and the SFAA meetings. It was really ambitious, really exciting, but it's hard for a funder to explain why a grant is being done in perpetuity unless there's some sort of changes to it. And this is the change. This is what we've seen. Now the team has gone even bigger. The first couple of camp years were virtual, thanks to an untimely virus that upended traditional ethnographic research, as well as our training. But it also provided a lot of opportunities for innovation, both in the way that we train students and the way that we conduct our research. We started warming to research and educational techniques that were once kind of pretty universally despised. And started to learn some things about it. Russ noted in a 2021 article in the Journal of Archaeology and Education that online research methods has some concrete advantages in terms of access, in terms of learning potential. As the work here has been made more widely available, there's an opportunity for subsequent generations of anthropologists to have access to the very best methodological training that they can get without having to rely on the whims or fiscal constraints of their graduate programs, or even programs at places like the National Science Foundation, which are subject to to budgetary cuts and those sorts of things. There used to be a lot more doctoral dissertation research improvement grants at the National Science Foundation and fields in the biosciences and the Division of Environmental Biology. They haven't existed for about the last 15 years or so. There's some regret about that. So being able to avail ourselves of these kinds of things in a democratized, accessible sort of way is very exciting from an institutional standpoint, from a disciplinary standpoint. You'll hear a lot more about the big tent approach to methods today. Now that tent is international, and NSF's Cultural Anthropology program is absolutely delighted to support it.
Okay, thank you for those comments. The Cultural Anthropology Methods Program, or CAMP, International is a community of practice with a listserv, teaching program, scholarly research, a website, and an online methods curriculum. Camp International kicks off with online lectures in English, subtitled in 9 languages, and spanning 15 methods modules. These 50 lectures offer the best methodological guidance from our nationally selected faculty who come from the US and all over the world. The faculty includes senior scholars who created the field or method they discuss, and early career scholars who are blazing exciting pathways forward. In each lecture, these anthropological methodologists provide cutting-edge advice on a range of mixed methods used in anthropology and in allied fields. Our curriculum covers essentials like research design, sample selection, data management, and ethical research. We are honored to offer Indigenous methods, Black feminist methods, and participatory methods from scholars who are leading our field in important new directions. Our curriculum includes popular qualitative and linguistic methods, including theme analysis, systematic coding, discourse analysis, and conversation analysis. We offer an orientation to several fields of quantitative analysis, like social network analysis and cultural consensus analysis. We have specialized modules such as gender analysis, medical and biocultural methods, and cross-cultural methods. These lectures can be used for learning or teaching, so we also include a module on how to teach methods the camp way. In addition to our online lectures, we offer resources on our website, including information on best practices for methods teaching and step-by-step instructions for providing methods feedback to students. We view Camp International's launch as a first step toward building the global methods community we envision. We hope that scholars from around the world will join the listserv, contribute additional methods lectures, and get involved with CAMP. Today, we're here to discuss what we've accomplished so far and the unique ways that biocultural anthropology, as well as other subfields, linguistic anthropology, even archaeology, can benefit from and contribute to CAMP, as well as ways that we can reach out to other disciplines beyond anthropology so that we can build a truly global approach to social science methods. Today, we're so honored to have a range of scholars who've been involved in CAMP for many years and in the previous methods programs to discuss CAMP's launch with us. So panelists, please introduce yourselves by providing your name, your professional affiliations, as well as your career stage. And could you tell us a bit about your research and what research methods you use in your studies? Let's begin with Melissa Beresford, who's one of the co-PIs of CAMP.
Hi, I'm Melissa Beresford. I'm an associate professor at San Jose State University. And my research, I examine how humans use social institutions and norms to adapt to resource insecurity, and I focus a lot on water insecurity. A lot of my work is in the realm of theory building, so building new theories to understand how humans are using social norms to adapt. So that means that I do a lot of community-based field work. I collect a lot of open-ended qualitative data, and I use a lot of inductive methods for analyzing that data. So that's generally the realm that I'm in a lot. I, of course, work across the kind of inductive to deductive continuum, depending on the type of study that I am. And I also, along with a lot of people on this call, am a research methodologist, so I conduct research on research methods as well.
Thank you, Melissa. Now we'll go to another co-PI of the CAMP grant, Robin Nelson.
Hi, I'm Robin Nelson. I am an associate professor at the School of Human Evolution and Social Change at Arizona State University. My research explores family relationships and social connectedness and the related health outcomes when one does or does not receive such support. I do this work amongst Caribbean populations, and I've also developed a project with colleagues in Texas looking at farmers and their broad social networks. With regards to methods, I use a combination of biometric and anthropometric measurements to assess health, and also inquiries about social conditions.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Kathy Oates, who is one of my methods teachers and has a very long history of involvement in these programs. Kathy.
Thanks, Amber. I am Kathy Oates, a medical anthropologist at the University of Alabama. I'm a professor emerita, that is retired now for a while, so you could say I'm late stage in my career, but still working strong outside of the classroom with this group and other groups. I won't go through all the research that I've done over 40 years, but I will say that since the very beginning, since my dissertation work, in fact, I've been focused on outcomes. So we're always interested in social and cultural factors that influence health and well-being in my area. And I always want to connect that to solid biocultural outcomes.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll go to Carlos Garcia Quijano, who was in camp with me as a student and is now one of our advisory board members who's helped to guide the project through many unexpected developments these few years. And you're muted.
Okay, hello everybody. So yeah, my name is Carlos Garcia Quijano. I am currently a full professor of marine affairs, of anthropology and marine affairs at the University of Rhode Island. And like Amber said, I started I was a member or a student in the camp in early 2000s. We went to the same camp together. And I am broadly speaking, it's hard sometimes for me to define what I do, but broadly speaking, I would say I'm a human ecologist and cultural anthropologist who studies coastal resource-dependent peoples and coastal adaptations. And I came to anthropology from a background in marine biology, marine ecology, and oceanography. So when I first came into anthropology, I was really excited to learn about people as part of ecosystems. And to tell you the truth, I was a little bit lost until I found the group of people who were really interested in having an open-minded and rigorous approach to methods, because the coastal the coastal systems I'm interested in are complex systems, and as such, you need to try to understand them from as many ways as possible, from as many directions and epistemological approaches as possible, to have a hope of understanding what's going on. So the open-minded and rigorous at the same time approach to methods was for me a savior, and maybe kept me as an anthropologist in the field. So like I said, I studied several things, or all kinds of things related to coastal adaptation, mostly the relationship between culture, society, and the marine ecosystems, including things related to cognition and variation in knowledge about coastal environments, the relationship between people's use of coastal resources and their well-being, developing widely applicable and ethnographically sound approaches to look at variation in things like human well-being, values about the coast, values about the environment, things like that. And also, I do a lot of research related to people's adaptation to changes in coastal systems. For example, when a new species gets introduced, or when an old species comes back after a successful conservation effort, etc. So yes, like Catherine said, I probably have used every anthropological method known, from literature like hermeneutics and the most qualitative approach possible based on storytelling, to all the way to quantitative modeling and everything in between, because like I said, these complex systems require it. So that's it for now.
Thank you so much. And finally, we'll go to Osvaldo Medina Ramirez, who was one of our camp fellows when he was a student, but is now a PhD and a professional anthropologist.
Hello, everybody. Really nice to be here. My name is Osvaldo Medina Ramirez. I'm from Loja in the south of Ecuador. Right now, I am a postdoctoral research scholar at Arizona State University under the direction of Dr. Amber Woodich. In my research, I broadly seeks to try to understand the role of the state-participatory modes of governing natural resources, with emphasis on water. And within this context, my research has been highly influenced for my background working with the government in Ecuador. So basically focusing on trying to understand how bureaucrats navigate and experience participatory modes of governance. And with that, I've been using like mixed methodologies, like going from, participant observation, ethnographic interviews, going to social network analysis, cultural consensus analysis. So mixing and bringing these methods is being really valuable to me because has allowed me to have a better understanding, a holistic understanding of the experiences of people working for the government and working in natural resource management and water. So yeah, that's for now.
Thank you so much. Our next question is for each panelist to weigh in on the state of methods in anthropology, either broadly or in your specific part of the subfield, wherever you feel most comfortable answering. And we'd like you to just quickly address what you think is an area of particular strength for anthropological methods and a weakness or a place where we have the opportunity to grow and improve. We'll start with Jeff Mance.
So, in some respects, we're extremely strong. In many respects, we're extremely strong. From the vantage of, I don't work just in cultural anthropology. I work in a host of cross-cutting initiatives at the NSF, including a lot of programs with engineering, geosciences, biosciences, the partnerships and innovation directorate. I work broadly through the division of education, what's called EDU now. I think it's only mathematics and physical science I haven't had a real direct relationship with. And anthropological methods, quant and qual, have inroads everywhere. These are things that were developed by anthropologists. People use them widely, sometimes not knowing they're developed by anthropologists. As a field, I think we have some things that we could be doing that we might refine better, especially in terms of how things are being trained, how training is happening at I see mostly American institutions, but some of this is happening globally. And the one I sort of tend to pick out is the work on more collaborative types of work. The most innovative things I've seen that anthropologists have led at NSF recently have involved partnerships, particularly with indigenous communities, where we have the very first social science-led Science and Technology Center. These are these massive 8-figure grants. This one's run by Sonia Adderley, an archaeologist at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, involving massive partnerships with indigenous communities to create these hubs for what they're calling braiding Western science and indigenous knowledge. I think that's a good sort of model to look to for how we might figure out how to work with one another. So it's been a long time since Renato Rosaldo talked about the lone wolf anthropologist kind of in the field. He wrote that long. Culture and Truth was written before most of our students were born, yet the sort of predilection, the preference towards solitary field work and towards the monograph that is solo authored is pronounced in a lot of anthropological subfields, and I think it's holding us back, to be blunt.
Thank you. Russ Bernard, briefly, strengths and weaknesses for anthropological methods.
Sure. Well, we've had the same strengths and weaknesses for a very, very long time. The best thing that we can do, all of us on this panel, and for our colleagues, is to encourage everyone we know in every position in anthropology to stop thinking of their jobs as training anthropology professors. It's as simple as that. If you just stop thinking that your job is to train professors like you, everything else will follow. because we know that 80% of all PhD anthropologists who come out today in the United States are not getting tenure track jobs in research institutions. Some of them are getting teaching jobs in some institutions. Most PhDs in anthropology today, the overwhelming majority, are going into non-academic employment. Those environments demand the ability to talk to people and collaborate with people using all the methods from all the social sciences and then some.
So your question, what is the state of methods in anthropology? Let me just share screen for a second and share with you. This is a graph from a piece that Jeff Snodgrass and several of us on this panel today published a few months ago in the Annals of Anthropological Practice. And it was fascinating. It was a survey of anthropologists as to what methods they used or did they feel they need to use, what methods do they need to teach their students, etc. And what's interesting is that there was consensus around classic ethnography. That was by far the most commonly used tool still, participant observation, interviewing, etc. And yet you notice that there's quite a strong showing for things like quantitative analysis, visual anthropology, textual analysis, cognitive methods, etc. So the title of the paper is about the toolkit that is available in anthropology. So I encourage anyone interested in what that broad range of practices is and to what extent people practice them to take a peek at this article, which summarizes the thinking at this point in time in our field. And of course, most of us here are committed to the mixed method approach. That's why we're here. And I think that is a weakness still. I think that there perhaps could be more breadth, and that's why we're here. One thing I'll notice about the strength is our diversity. The weakness perhaps is, and my thing is data management, and I do have a module on that on the website. The ability to collect our data systematically and in a fashion that it can be put together and analyzed. It can be merged and analyzed. And I must say that we spend most of our efforts getting that step accomplished. So, learning how to manage data and how to collaborate and share across sites and archive your data for future generations. So that would be, I think, one of the weak points that we still need to work on. Thanks.
Thank you. Carlos Garcia Quijano, some strengths and weaknesses for anthropological methods.
Yes, hi. I feel like a lot of what I think about has already been said, and I'm really happy to hear that my thoughts are echoed in those of people that I respect so much, so that's great. A couple of things. I want to echo again the importance of collaboration, because I was thinking that a lot of the methods that I have used in a variety of research projects, first of all, have been not my methods, but methods and somebody working with me taught me, and I learned from them, and they're part of my toolkit, and we apply them to that project. And they came from the social sciences, yes, but sometimes they came from ecology, or they came from oceanography, or from somewhere else. I remember a project, I spent a lot of time with an ecologist. We were looking at how people were adapting to green iguana introductions in the Caribbean. And we spent a lot of time observing iguanas and then observing people's interactions with iguanas and then observing just people in the region where they could find an iguana. And that was just a wonderful way of cross-pollinator approaches to observation and coding of behavioral observation and etc. So there I was as an anthropologist counting iguanas in mangrove trees, but yet I was being an anthropologist because I was studying the environment relative to people. So I think that open-mindedness and collaboration is just an incredibly important part of learning how to use methods. And like Ross said, I think an incredibly important part of being able to work in almost any kind of working environment that I can think of. So that's really great. In terms of the weaknesses and strengths, I think strengths right now, I think is that, people learning, if I'm talking about from the student perspective, both undergrad and grad, I think students are able to find how to find the information that they want or how to solve the problem that they want to solve. And they're not so dependent on one or two teachers. They can use a variety of, the web and all the books published and all the online indexes to find the methods that they can use, or they can go to Methods Camp, or they can do a variety of things. So, but I think the weakness may be related to that is there's still a view out there among many social scientists, especially, well, I'm not going to say which groups of them, just among some social scientists, that methods are constraining. But I would say that so a lot of my time talking to people who want to learn methods is actually you have to understand that methods are liberating, or you can see them as liberating because they liberate you to understand and to talk about a topic in a principled manner. And they liberate you to not have to, interpret data that you don't know where it comes from. They liberate you to really know where your data comes from, or your information, or your answers, and then be able to write about them in a principled way. And I think that's a big one. And another one, just quickly, is right now, and this is warranted, right? There's been many challenges to the way that science has traditionally been practiced. Including the lone ethnographer or the lone researcher, and the top-down approach, and the lack of collaboration with traditional or indigenous knowledge holders, etc. And so there's been challenges to science and to the way science has been practiced. I think a weakness or a danger can be, if people decide to abandon science rather than transform science, which of course is something that camp is really being at the forefront of doing, transform science so that it, can be a science that keeps up with the times. So I don't know.
Thank you so much. Robin Nelson, strengths and weaknesses in anthropological methods.
So, in the biocultural, as Kathy, I'm sure, could attest to, in the biocultural wing of things, one thing that I think is a strength, and I've seen this kind of changing over the last few years, is an interest in more diverse methods. I think that folks are who have, conventionally done what falls more in the wheelhouse of biological anthropology are understanding, and Amber and I and several co-authors are working on a paper right now thinking about this, but the way that qualitative data has always been collected and analyzed and thought about within biological anthropology, but not really articulated as such. And I think that folks are recognizing that this is there are methods. Like, this isn't just, go out and get some information. There are rigorous methods that you need to think about and include. And so I'm excited to see that. And I'm excited to see that our students, as Carlos just said, our students are creative, interesting people, and they are not constrained by some of the ideas that were held in the past about who can do what and how it should be done. They want to answer questions in the best way possible. So I love the interest. I would say a weakness is in knowing where to find those methods. And this is something that's very exciting about camp and very exciting about the Methods for All YouTube website that we've been putting together. I have sent so many students to that page, and they are just shocked that a resource like that exists because they are interested in doing it better. It helps with their grants. It helps, as Carlos said, with writing things in a principled way, in a defensible way. I'm excited to see where, say, we are in 10, 15 years with regards to engagement with a wide variety of methods. And I think that we're getting there with biocultural anthropology, more so than the folks who have always traditionally done it. I think there's a bigger net now of folks who want to do it.
Thank you. Oswaldo Medina Ramirez, thoughts on anthropological strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah, so I just want to talk related to my recent experience as a student. So, and I'm going to start with the weaknesses. So I think that it's because connected with the strengths, because I think that it's in, at least in so many anthropology departments and with some colleagues that I have had the chance to talk, methods is not something that is central to their training. So, it's when you talk about it was like I came from an agronomy background. So when I went to anthropology, it was kind of like difficult to me to try to adapt. And I was asking about methods, and I quickly realized that method was not something that was central in the training for anthropologists. But then, like moving to the strengths, I see that there is like, I don't know, of course, a professor movement, but also student movements that are looking for more and more for methods. So for diverse methods, like trying to understand like these mixed methodologies. So I think that that's the strength that is right now. I can see that with colleagues that some of them are still doing their PhD, that they are looking for this kind of training and methodological training. So I think that that's why also I am also really excited for what CAMP is doing, because like having these resources available for all of them, I think that will be like amazing for whoever wants to have like a more rigorous training in methods. So yeah.
Thank you. Melissa Beresford, strengths and weaknesses of anthropological methods.
So I think that anthropology's strengths have always been our fieldwork. I collaborate with scientists across a range of disciplines, and we are the field that is willing to go out and get data that is really, really hard to collect, right? One of Russ's best sayings that I've learned from him is we are the discipline that's willing to go out and stay out. And other disciplines are just really limited, and the questions that they're able to answer, because they are typically constrained to existing data sets. So we're able to collect amazing data. Yes, that data can be collected in ways that are a bit more systematic, as what Kathy's saying. We can improve on our data management as well. But overall, just our ability to go get that data, to be able to advance really interesting questions and theories is absolutely incredible. And that's been foundational to our discipline, and it's still true today. I think our biggest weakness is that we typically do not train students on how to analyze data, especially qualitative data. And that is something that CAMP, we have empirically shown in some papers that have come out led by Elisa Ruth. So I encourage people to take a look at those papers on our website. So I think that by focusing on systematizing some of our data collection to improve that a bit, and really getting training down in data analysis methods, like we'll just blow the top off of what we can do in our discipline.
Okay, so for our last question, we are going to talk about what keeps us involved in NSF's methodological programs, and what we think the people watching this webinar, people who are thinking about getting involved, how they might benefit or how they might use the resources. So just as a precursor, let's say everyone on this call has a lifelong involvement, career-long involvement in the NSF methods programs, and that requires a considerable time investment. It requires a considerable commitment. What keeps you coming back? And what do you think of that will be attractive to those who are considering getting involved, whether they're anthropologists or from other disciplines? We'll begin with our most junior member, Oswaldo Mendia Ramirez.
Well, I will say that when I found CAMP, that was 3 years ago, when I was doing the 2021 CAMP Fellows, it was like in my academic career, I will say that it was a lifesaver. It's still a lifesaver because it gave me clarity. It put things more clear for me. And as Carlos was saying, at the time I was lost. So I was kind of like a bit frustrated, like how I can advance my research. So when I found CAMP was like, even was the time that I found that something that when I was exploring my preliminary data, I found this phenomenon of participation fatigue that I was developing, but I didn't thought at the time that was something important. And when I found the methods to try to make sense of this, I think that was something that has been really, really helpful for me. And just to end, I will say that all the resources are going to be available in CAMP. I think that are really, really useful for different students at different stage of those careers, and also for resources that campus is going to be bringing to them. Yeah.
Thank you. Robin Nelson, you're coming to us from biocultural anthropology. What can you add?
I am, I keep coming back because I think fundamentally we have a really great job. I mean, the ability to spend your time thinking about research questions and to engage students in learning about the world around them is a gift. And I don't want to do the same thing for 30 years or 40 years. And so staying engaged in methods means your research questions get to grow and change, and what you teach your students gets to grow and change. And then your students will bring you more information that they've learned, which will push your research further. So to be in a career where what we are allowed to do is continually question the world around us and continually grow as scholars is absolutely a gift. And I think methods training allows us to do our best work in that space.
Thank you, Robin. Carlos Garcia Quijano, you come to us from ecological anthropology. What can you add?
Yeah, I want to echo things that both Oswaldo and Robin said. First of all, just like with Oswaldo, I think my participation in the camp was probably career saving, you know, or instead of in terms of me staying in this discipline doing what I do, it was definitely an important moment in my decision making to stay in this career. So it opened up a whole world, and like Robin said, this whole world of the methods, you know, one of the benefits of remaining engaged with the methods learning and developing community is that, you know, like she just said, you know, like you never be bored again, because there's going to be always some new approach, how to turn something qualitative into something quantitative, how to take something that is seen as quantitative into something qualitative and see both aspects, and then triangulate and see whether they match, you know, and all of that just makes it endlessly interesting, but also it makes it endlessly useful in its ability to tackle new problems that might come out, whether they are scientific or basic research problems, or also applied problems, you know, that affect the lives of people and the well-being of people, or if ecosystems or et cetera, you know. So it's just, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Thank you. Melissa Beresford.
Yeah, so I echo everything that people have said. I just love teaching in this program because the ability to help give that life raft to somebody is just the most rewarding experience ever. So that's just incredible. And that's what keeps me teaching and being involved in the program. But also, just as a community member, the brain trust of the people here who are involved in camp is just unparalleled. It is just amazing, the depth of knowledge that this community has. We've recently launched a listserv that has over 700 people on the listserv so far, and it's growing. And students and professionals are able to write to that listserv and ask questions, ask methods questions, ask for like where to start in the literature, how to go about doing something. And it's just amazing. It's just incredible conversations happening on the listserv to give people the information that they need, point them in the right directions. And that's really what this community is all about.
Thank you, Melissa. Kathy Oates, you have many decades of involvement in these programs. What can you tell us?
You know, I'll echo everything everyone said so far. And for me, it's just plain fun. I love to be challenged. I love to just like, okay, lay it on me. What is your research interest and where are you going with that? And then just work through it. It's better than doing New York Times puzzles for me. You know, I mean, it's better than connections or Wordle. You know, you just throw it at me. Let's figure it out. It's a puzzle. It keeps me fresh. I get new ideas and all that. So I just enjoy it. Always have. I met Russ when I was a grad student, and that I've loved methods my whole life, and I've just that's what's most important to me.
Kathy. Russ?
Yeah, well, it is, yeah, keep coming back, never leave. It's endlessly rewarding, and it's a privilege, of course. I mean, the Socratic imperative for every professor remains to poison young minds. That's the imperative from Socrates on. And with methods, you get to do that better than with anything else. Along, of course, with good ideas, all the theory. But it is endlessly rewarding.
Thank you. We'll close with comments from Jeff Mance on what keeps you interested in the NSF methods programs and what you think members of the larger community can benefit from in being involved.
It's interesting to have me answer this. So I'm going to say two things. One is that, program officers at the NSF, we don't get to work on our research quite as much as if we were university faculty, but we do have a plan for that. And we have to establish professional development plans for our publication research schedule and for any kind of professional development we have. And in most years, I've committed myself to learning one new method. Why I like doing that is the same reason I like NSF as an institution and what I find exciting about proposals. And that is if the best work comes when people are kind of open-minded and curious and really interested in finding out about something that they don't necessarily know something about. I'm a little skeptical that that's going to work in my research, but let's figure it out. All right, you want to count something, where I feel pretty good about the intuitions I had. Let's go ahead and count it and see if it matches up. And it's not that one is right or wrong. It's that the differences between those two perspectives lend new light to the way that you look at it. And that's in every program I've worked with at NSF, it works the same way. The more you learn from looking at things in different lights, the more that you can push things forward.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And so to close, speaking on behalf of the faculty of the Cultural Anthropology Methods program, please visit our website, methods4all.org, where you can sign up to be a member of the community, access resources on our free to all YouTube with many, many methods lectures, join the listserv, and get involved. Thank you.